Yep. Jamin, are you going to go ahead and do the recording?
We're recording. We're recording.
We are recording. Okay, great. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to take attendance again based on who's here. And at this point in time, not worry about the people who are not here. The notes from the last meeting are not yet published, but the meeting has been recorded. And so people can see the recording if they want to do that. Are there any short announcements from outside BCI that anyone would like to make at this point in time?
Everybody, please block off as much time as you can this coming Friday, February 14th, from 6 a.m. Pacific time to 6 a.m. Saturday, 24-hour block party. It's going to be amazing.
All right, cool. And there's more on that coming in the agenda in a bit. And our next meeting will be Tuesday, February 18th at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So our next order of business is to consent to using this agenda. Are there any reactions, comments, or additions that need to be made to the agenda? Okay, then I'm asking for consent to move forward with following this agenda today. Okay, excellent. Our fourth order of business is Jamin discussing the Collective Intelligence Block Party that is happening this Friday. So Jamin, we have up to 20 minutes. We don't need to take all of the time, but we have up to 20 minutes to talk about how to organize the people here and whatever it is that you would like us to do. So
beautiful. Well, we'll just need a fraction of that time, but thank you so much for the space, Anne, and everyone. So this Friday's will be the first 24-hour collective intelligence block party from 6 a.m. Pacific time Friday to 6 a.m. Pacific time Saturday, full 24 hours. It's the first weekly collective intelligence block party. In other words, we're going to do this every Friday. There will be a 24-hour collective intelligence block party. And at this first one, we are very blessed to have Dr. Sailesh Rao joining us. And he, and probably, we're still in an email thread with Alan Savory right now, but we're most likely going to have a meeting with Alan Savory. He's the big holistic land management guy who promotes animal agriculture to regenerate ecosystems and all that. So I'm friends with both Sailesh and Alan Savory. So I reached out to both, as we had discussed, a week or two ago, and said, hey, why don't we do a roundtable where we just very openly come at this? How do we save life on Earth? Is it through veganism, or is it through holistic land management with animals, or is it some mashup? What is it? But let's figure it out. So we're aiming towards having that conversation Thursday this week in 2 days. It'll be broadcast, recorded, etc. And then on Friday at the block party, we'll be able to build on that. A lot of people will have seen it, and then we'll be able to say, well, that was a great meeting. Now, where do we go from here? And then that'll include everyone who's at the block party. Other notable rock stars at the block party from...
Wait, Jamin, can you back up? What time is that going? Do you have a time yet for Thursday, or do you not have a... No,
we don't yet have a time yet, either for Thursday or for Friday. We're on an email thread right now.
Okay.
And Sailesh, feel free to, reply all and give your time windows, and then Alan can pick within those. So that's TBD. The current schedule will be up to date on radish.org. Nolan's doing a great job keeping that up to date. But what is on the calendar for Friday is the 2-hour period from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time, which is 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time on Friday. We're going to have the three most influential people in the world, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of making SRM, solar radiation management, a planetary scale reality. Professor Guy McPherson, University of Arizona, Dr. Ye Tao, Harvard University, and non-Dr. Jamin Shively from radish.org. We will be talking SRM. And on Friday, everyone's welcome. So there might be a few dozen people talking with us, including hopefully all of you. And since it's a 2-hour window, and since we will be one day after the big meeting with Sailesh Rao and Alan Savory, we can have a big holistic conversation of how to save life on Earth with a combination of veganism, solar radiation management, collective intelligence, holistic land management, one giant Hungarian goulash vegan conversation about how to do this. So Friday morning is going to be really, really interesting. And then, of course, that's early in the 24-hour block party cycle. So there will be plenty of time for really great conversations after that. In fact, I sort of see it all as kind of this big crescendo that will start early Friday morning, and then we'll just keep growing like a snowball. So please check it out. Please check out the 12-minute video that I did with Guy McPherson and Ye Tao, which is up on the Block Party page on radish.org. Just click on the Block Party banner on the homepage. That'll take you to the Block Party page, where we'll have all this good information and videos and all kinds of good stuff. And if any of you would like to lead a specific conversation on a specific topic, vegan related or otherwise, and it can even be a big holistic mashup topic or anything, please either tell me now or reach out later, call me, email me, whatever, and let's get you on the schedule.
Sorry. Are you familiar with open space technology?
Only what I've learned from you about World Cafe.
So open space technology is the idea that the people in the room, in the space, have all the knowledge that they need to have, and that everyone can learn and everyone can teach. And so I'm wondering if you did a simple thing like a 24-hour calendar, because it's going to be on a Zoom, so we know where the room is, right? And you put in, every hour, and so you've got 2 hours that are already blocked, and you could say, here's the time, here's the topic, here's the facilitator, and maybe here's the guest presenters. And then people could go in and add things, and you could approve or disapprove of those things. And then people might just jump in and say, I want to host a conversation from, you'd have to make sure that the time frame is very clear, that it's specific time. But, from 12:30 to 1:30, I want to host a conversation on veganic permaculture. I want to, from 1 to 3, I want to host a conversation on how do LGBTQ issues fit with it could be anything, and you could decide, okay, that doesn't really work, or that does, or you could just let anything go and see who shows up during those times. There's some rules about open space technology. It starts when it starts, it ends when it ends. Whoever shows up are the right people. If nobody shows up, it means you're just really far ahead of everyone else in the world, and you should just feel really good about that and not worry about the fact that they don't show up. So there's a whole bunch of little things, and I can share more of that separately if you want, but it might be a way to organize that time.
Wow, love it. And so it's like an open calendar that anyone can post to, if I understand correctly.
Yes, and this is open space technology is a real thing, and the person who designed it, his name is, I've been using it for 15 years. I've participated in full 5-day conferences that are done with open space technology, with 20 things at a time going on, with lots of different physical rooms. I've not ever done it online. But you could actually, I can Google and find the information on open space technology, pretty easily. So it's just a suggestion that it might be a way to organize topics. And then people could see, oh, at this time, there's something, SRM is from 7 to 9, but then, countdown to year 0, a conversation is happening at this time. And so people would know. It's more organized than just a block party that you come in and out of, but it's not so regimented that other things can't happen either. So I don't know.
Love it, love it, love it. And in fact, Patricia, who's here, just joined a couple of minutes ago. She was talking about the same idea a little bit ago at the Solution Club. So great minds think alike, and sounds awesome. I love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Welcome, Patricia.
And is there a fee involved with that?
I don't, with open space?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No.
Well, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, I suppose you could hire someone from the, actually, I don't know if there's an open space technology organization at this point. Again, I learned about it a long time ago. You might be able to hire a consultant to help you do it, but.
Is that this is a concept?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was
It's a methodology
awesome.
to help people learn and help people share and to empower people to understand that they actually know more than they think they know.
I love it. Thanks.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to show you my book that Lisa Heft, she's actually a consultant, and I took class from her about, gosh, 15 years ago or something. and I also wanted to say we do have, I think, 50 to 100 breakout sessions in Zoom. So you can even during an hour, you can even have open space going on.
In breakouts, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use Zoom well enough to know that, but that's great. That is great. Okay, and again, Jamin, I didn't mean to derail you. I just thought that might be an idea.
No, I love it. I love it. No. You're this is additive, not derailing. So thank you. And this is the whole idea. This is collective intelligence. So, and we're going to be evolving this as it goes along. So, anyway, just super excited. So grateful to everyone for participating, and just wow, just super excited. So yeah, radish.org. Check it out, and please, and you can come and go as you wish. You know, don't feel like, oh, if I show up, then I can't leave. No, just come and go. It's going to be going for 24 hours.
Right, it's really cool. I remember hearing about it the first time back in, I think, early November about this idea, and now it's actually being launched. So congratulations, very cool, very cool. Does anyone have any questions for Jamin or any ideas for Jamin or anything that we want to offer before we move on to our next agenda item? Okay, well, we hope to see everyone there at some point, maybe not all together, but at some point over those 24 hours. And good luck to those of you who are actually facilitating this for 24 hours. Okay, our next agenda item is a status report on the BCI process proposal work group. And I wanted to just do a really quick overview of the 4 steps, because we have new people who are coming in all of the time, and I think it's just helpful to do that. Is there anyone on the process proposal group that would like to walk through the 4 steps? I just wanted to share them publicly, collectively. No. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead. So step 1 is that we did spend a week collecting questions. And there was a short video tutorial about how to do that. There was some context about why we're collecting these questions. And the questions have been collected, and they'll be talked about in a fair amount of detail very shortly. But step 1, which we spent a week on, was collecting questions. Step 2 is to synthesize those questions, because lots of different people ask the questions. And so some of them may be very similar, and we want to make sure that we're not answering the same question multiple times. So for the next week, we are going to synthesize those questions. And at the end or later in this meeting, we will figure out who's going to do that. And we have somebody, it looks like Dharmendra, can you mute? I think you're the person who's not muted.
Okay, I'll mute.
Thank you so much. Step 3 is answering questions. So once we have synthesized the questions that we have collected thus far, we're going to answer those questions. And again, there will be multiple people who are doing all of this work. We'll answer those questions and have a written record of what the questions were, where they came from, how they were synthesized, and what the answers to those questions are. And that will take another week. And then our fourth step is that from all of that information, we will develop a proposal to come back to the full group to actually put into writing and articulate the vision, mission, aims, and culture of the Vegan World 2026 Collective Intelligence Group. And at that point, we will have answered the questions. Who are we, the people who are in this room right now, and what is our work and how that relates to the work of Vegan World 2026 and Climate Healers. And while we recognize that this is a lot of work to build the foundation, we believe that building the foundation will allow us to go much faster in the future so that we can actually get to all of the work and move quite quickly through that work. So again, I just wanted to give a quick overview because we have some people who weren't here, and it's helpful for me to say it because I learn it better when I speak it, and we thought it would be helpful for people to hear. Are there any questions about that quick overview? Okay, beautiful. So I actually had a break at this point, and we are only 30 minutes in to the meeting. Can we hold the break off, or do we want to hold the break off? Okay, so we'll hold the break off and move into the process proposal report on collecting questions. And we had 3 people who did the bulk of that work, not writing the questions, but actually collecting them and holding on to them. And that is Benjamin, Jorge, and Shankar. And so I'm going to ask the 3 of you to talk about what the experience was like of collecting the questions and the insights that you have learned and anything it is that you want to talk about in terms of that.
Sure, I can start. With the spreadsheet that Jorge was able to provide us, it was super easy to, we started a message thread within the larger Vegan World 2026 group, sent a notification out to all the Basecamp members, and started getting feedback through that message thread. And with the help of Shankar and Jorge, we've just kind of compiled it all into one place, and it looks like there's 123 questions that have been added so far. I think that, unless there are more questions that have come up since,
there was one we want to add about live broadcasting.
That just came up right before the beginning of this meeting. Yeah.
So after the question submission deadline, but I think we can add it in. Yep. Maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. Jorge, what do you think?
But that's where we're at so far. And if Jorge or Shankar, you have anything to add?
Well, I want to really quickly. I want to add some of these questions came from. We hosted an open house where people could come and ask questions about the whole process, and there were questions asked about the process, and questions came up through the open houses. So some of these were, more just like general questions that would come up during the open house.
Well, I'm really curious about how many people came to the open houses and how many people contributed questions.
The morning.
If we know, maybe we don't know right now.
I can count it up here.
Yeah, so the morning one ended up being Jorge, Shankar, Benjamin, myself, Patricia, and Joyce. So Joyce was new, and I don't know if she was there specifically for VCI or if she just kind of saw it on the calendar and came. But yeah. And then the evening one was us, Patricia, and BJ. So not a lot of participation, but I'm still glad that we did it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy. I think that getting you know, more involvement from people. And I'm so glad that the two of you had the time, well, and Jorge and Shankara as well, had the time to do that. I think that was extremely important to give people the opportunity at a couple of different times to ask questions and to figure some things out. Was there anything that was surprising about collecting these questions, or as the questions came in, was there anything that struck you in any way? I'm asking that of all 3 or 4 of you, not just.
Yeah, I was super happy with the way that everything flowed in the spreadsheet team, which was like 3 people we got together like on a ping and then found each other on the Excel spreadsheet on Google. So it was pretty easy to communicate in a chat inside of the Excel spreadsheet. And then like we share the workload. And yeah, like I just saw some last messages from Shankar saying that everything was up to speed. And I was confused about, I think, a comment that there were some missing questions that were posted after in the comments and are not on the Excel, but I can't find them. I don't know if they're in the same comment thread or they're in a new one, but other than just like clearing that out, yeah, we have 123 questions. The one thing that I would say that I was more hopeful for was to get more participation out of the 300 plus Vegan World 2026 volunteers. But I don't know the circumstances why there were not that many people contributing to the questions. I don't know how is that going to affect the outcome, but one hopeful part is that we're still going to have week blocks of synthesizing and then answering and then finally making the proposal. So I'm still hopeful that more people join into the process work group meetings. And yeah, maybe the participation of the broader pool of volunteers will come through then.
Yeah, and I have some perspective. I think that this is something that is going to be new to most people, and Vegan World 2026 is new to most people. The idea of creating an organization like this is kind of new. Generally speaking, organizations are created in a different way. And so I think this time we're showing how this can work. And I'm guessing that there are some people kind of sitting back waiting to see, what does this look like? What's really going to happen out of this? What's the end product going to be? And so my guess is the next time, the next group that does something like this is going to get more participation. At least that's what I'm hopeful of, I guess, as we do this. I have to say for myself, this week was really interesting because Saturday and Sunday, Will Tuttle was presenting both Saturday and Sunday near me, and I wanted to participate. So I was not available, and it wasn't in my community, so I had to drive a bit both days. And so Saturday, I did his thing, and it was great. Sunday, he did a workshop on intuition, which was phenomenal, I will say. But at the end of that workshop, I'm thinking, oh my God, what do I need to do for VCI for tomorrow? I'm trying to remember because I had kind of set it aside, and I was trying to remember. And so the whole 90-mile drive back, I'm thinking about what I have to do and who I need to reach out to and whether I'm going to be able to do this on Sunday night. And I get home and I open my computer, and there's this whole thread of conversation in which it's already all been done. Like the whole thing about the way the questions were collected and what you guys were doing and how it was happening was already all done. And I just got to say, thank you. And like that, the idea of collective intelligence and real work getting done and things moving forward. I know this is a little example, but it was just really wonderful to see that and believe.
And I feel very, very like excited to see so many people really giving it all, no? Like, for example, like the spreadsheet team worked great, and Benjamin and Suzanne holding a 2-meeting open house on a Saturday. Like, wow, like, thank you so much for doing that, because I know that the times are not easy. It's the same times that Silesh offers his webinars, and the night shift, it is tough, no, to show up. Thank you for doing that, really. Like, if I wear a hat, it would be taken off right now.
Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to say that this is just all very hopeful. It's all very, I mean, it's more than hopeful, because there's real work being done, and it's setting us up to do some real work again in the future that is going to flow together, you know, pretty well. So, are there questions and does anyone have any questions for the people who worked on collecting the questions and on the spreadsheets? Is there more information that anyone wants to have?
Yeah, I just want to add to Benjamin and Jorge. Yeah, it was fun working, and pretty much I posted all my questions from mobile. So it was that simple to say. And we also reviewed, and if anything missing, like we were catching up on each other. That was also the best part. And I saw that some places there was the questions started answering right then and there, but it was okay. We got the gist of the questions, and the open house was best because I forgot to ask questions. Working in the back end, I forgot the front end. So both Benjamin and Susan reminded me to ask questions. So that was thank you.
Oh, that's funny, Shankar. That's funny. We have to slow down a little bit and remember. Oh, okay. All right. And Sarah and Darmendra are welcome. I should have said that earlier when you first came into the room. We are happy to see you here. Jorge, I have a clarification question myself, and that is that on the spreadsheet, there's a place to consent. Can we do a consent to these questions here and then add them, or do we need to ask everyone to go in and do that, or how is that going to work?
Okay, yeah, excellent question. Like the opportunity of being right now on Zoom all together and be able to project the spreadsheet and to go in a round to do the consent, it would be the ideal. That being said, I doubt that all the people here have read 123 questions to consent on them. So if we want to be like thorough about it, then I would say not to seize the opportunity to go to a consent round right now, but yes, make a call for everybody that wants to be involved in the process work group to join in the upcoming meetings to consent on them. Or if people are like going to use their 5 minutes to check email, we could do that after the break so people can quickly go through the 123 people questions, sorry. And then when we come back from the break, we can do a consent round. That would be my preference. It's just like an idea.
I actually think that is a great idea. Actually, could you share the spreadsheet so that the questions, but you're not going to see 123 at one time. So maybe we could post the link in the chat box so that we could take a 10 or 15-minute break so that everyone could go out and look at the questions and then come back. And yeah, because we wouldn't be able to move the spreadsheet to see all of the questions.
Sure,
so,
it's already on the chat box. That's
yep.
the link to the page 1, which is the step 1 of collective questions. You can scroll up and down and you will see all of the 123.
Well,
You click on it now and yeah, okay, cool.
yeah, I think that would be a great idea if we would take approximately, what do we think, is 10 minutes enough to look at the questions? 10 minutes is, okay. So let's take a 10-minute break. We'll go ahead and people can go look at those, get a glass of water or whatever it is that you need to do. We'll come back in 10 minutes. We'll do a consent round to these questions. And then we'll move on to figuring out how it is we're going to synthesize and who wants to participate in synthesizing the questions.
Okay, I see that Dr. Rao already did this, so excellent. That's very good news.
Yes, I saw it. Yes, he read through the questions and it was so comprehensive he didn't have any questions to ask afterwards. That is excellent. We are very happy to hear that. Okay. Oh, and Carrie has to leave. Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie. It looks like Carrie already did leave. So Carrie says, I have to say goodbye. I won't have time to contribute to the question process. Good luck, peace and love to you all. Okay. All right. So go ahead, Jorge.
Sorry, I thought I was in mute. Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead. We'll take 10 minutes. I'm going to put my timer on. I will be back in exactly 10 minutes and everybody take a look at those questions and we'll move on in 10 minutes. Thank you.
And pausing recording for the 10-minute break, resuming when we get back.
Yes, thank you. Are any major objections to a question? This would be the time to bring it up. And Jorge,
Okay,
you can speak to this.
Yes, maybe it's useful for me to share the file. Would that be helpful? What do you think?
Share the file so that...
Yeah, so we can talk about like...
Oh, screen share the file. Yes, yes, I think it would. Yes, got it.
Okay. Okay, do you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So to be completed by the date of 10 February, that's yesterday, contributors consented by date. Okay, this is the date of today, which is 11 February 2020. Okay, so we have the list here. You can see it with the owner of the questions, and you have already read through all of them. So now we move to this section of the spreadsheet, which will allow us to go in a round and write the name of the person if that person is going to consent with concern, object, or abstain. To finally have a consent on the list of questions, then we will move on to synthesize. So what?
Are you going to fill this in, Jorge, as we actually do the round?
Correct. That is correct. And so the idea is to have like a visual of everybody and write the comments in the case of concerns or objections. And yes, Ray, the idea is to have all the comments, like not just like an automatic yes, consent. No, if there are concerns or there are objections, then we can stop and write them down in the comment section. Yeah.
So let's go ahead. And this is a little more awkward being online than in a room because we would just go person to person. In this case, I'm just going to go as you appear on my screen and that moves around. And right now I can only see 4 people at a time. So I'm going to call people's names and ask them if they consent with concern, or have an objection. And if you have a concern or objection, we'll ask you to share what those are. Does that?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So Jorge, can we start with you, or we could?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So I will write my full name. Arturo Subieta Calvert. Okay. So I will say that I consent with a small concern. No, so that will bring me into the yellow color. And here in the comments, I will just like broadly mention them. I will show them to you right now, no? So what we were asking for was for questions, not pre-answered questions and not proposals. And I know that it is very exciting to have a question and want to say, okay, this is the context and this is my idea to answer it. But right now, that wouldn't be very helpful because of the following. So it is very easy to spot usually what is a proposal. How? Because it's usually more than one line. So if we scroll down, we will find a couple of them that are kind of like bigger, including one of mine, no? Like it gets complicated. It starts to involve other documents or other references. But especially I saw a couple of questions that are not really directly involved with the VCI vision, mission, and aims and culture process. But I'm saying it's a small concern because it doesn't really matter that they are there. We just have to pull them to the very bottom of the priorities and not answering them as part of the process of our VMA, just like leave them hanging there, like put them into consideration for another VMA process for the right study group that question is directed, or if it's a proposal, it will be very complicated to comment and answer a proposal from somebody else. So those examples, for example, I'm gonna locate one, for example, maybe this one, no? Can we have a recurring weekly invited guest? That sounds great. I don't know if that's only related to VCI or to the whole world, Vegan World 2026. So for example, this is good to have as a proposal. We can read that there's already like a format. So this is the example of a proposal. No? So it wouldn't help for the vision, mission, and aims, but it's useful to have it for the next steps, which are not the synthesizing and answering and proposing the VMA of VCI. There's a couple of those examples. So those are my small concerns. As I said, it's not nothing that it is not good enough for now and safe enough to try, right? So I will go ahead and write my concerns in the comments, but I already explained them verbally to you. Was that clear? Like what a small concern?
So I can't see everyone. So if you do have a question, please speak up. If you're waving your hand, I may not see it. So if someone sees someone raising their hand, make sure that we acknowledge them. That was very clear for me, Jorge. I get that. Shankar, or no, Sylvie, you're right beside Jorge. Do you want to consent with concerns or object?
I will also say some of them, like, yeah, consent with concern. Because I see more of them that are more like questions or trying to answering them, or trying to answer their own questions or bringing already a proposal to answer the question.
Yeah, so basically the same.
The same, yeah.
Okay. So I would do the same thing. For example, here, I will say Sylvie, okay. She also consents with concern, and it's basically the same comments. Mm-hmm. So there you are. And here we can see a counter. As we can see in the counter, the concerns with concerns, I mean the consent with concerns and the consent count as move forward. There's nothing to hold us back for going into the next step of synthesizing. In the case of an objection, then yes, we would say, okay, what is the objection? And we can hear it out and make clarifying questions around that. And the easiest would be to say, right?
Yeah, you can go ahead and put me in, put my name in, and I'll consent because even if I have a concern, you've already mentioned it, so I don't feel the need to mention it again because you already did. So I'm just going to do consent.
Cool, and you're the first green one. And as we can see, we have 3.
Yep.
Right, green counter.
And can everyone please mute their microphone? Someone, Nancy, I think it's you,
Oh,
but
sorry.
I'm not sure. Thank you.
No, you're right. I forgot. I had to go and come back, and I'll go ahead and mute it. So.
Yes, thank you. That would be helpful. Okay, all right. Jorge, go ahead.
Okay, so we now have 3. The next one I see is Shankar in the screen. So I will put his name, Shankar. I think that we are putting the names as we are in Basecamp. So Shankar, what would be your consent, consent with concerns, objection?
Actually, I have one question on this one.
Yes.
Like, am I giving this consent for overall questions,
Correct.
or if out of this one
The
question,
bulk of the list?
I would say at this point, I'm okay. I'm trying to understand here, so
Okay.
I don't have any objections or anything.
Correct.
Consent.
Okay, so that would be a consent. Thank you, Shankar.
Thank you.
And then I think it's Nancy. Nancy, are you around to give us the consent with concern or objection?
Hi, sorry. I just came back. I was at the store.
I think you're cutting off on my end.
Yeah. Jorge, I have a suggestion.
Yes.
If you look at the participants in the chat or at the bottom, that gives you a list that's easy to follow than the video or the image.
Okay.
For Anne too, like if you click the participants below 13, that gives you a list so that you can go by those names.
Okay, good idea. Right now, because I'm sharing, I don't know where to locate there it is. Okay, it's on the top. Participants 13. Good idea, Shankar. So, yes. Nancy, sorry, I couldn't make what you were saying because it was cutting off.
Oh, sorry.
So here I will put your name and I will ask you again, like, can you give us, maybe we can also do the chat box for this. I don't know if I can see.
Yes, I'm on my iPhone and it was not connected to my internet. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you perfect.
Okay, that's why, because I was not connected to the internet. My iPad. Sorry. Okay, yes for me.
Okay. So what we're asking from you is to consent with concern, or object to the bulk of the 123 questions.
Honestly, I just got in. I was driving. I just got home and I'm putting groceries away. So
okay.
Can I? I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, it's okay. Thank you.
Would you rather abstain?
Yeah, honestly, that's probably my most honest. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, so now I will move on. I see that Dharmendra had to go, but he's giving. Okay, so he's saying that we should do the same. Okay, Christopher. No, Dharmendra Gordon. Okay. Dharmendra Gordon. Oh, Benjamin is already in there.
He's already helping. Yeah, thank you, Benjamin.
Excellent. Okay, Dharmendra is consent with concern. Same comments. Excellent. Dr. Rao consents. Christopher consents. Okay. Dr. Sailesh Rao consent. And Christopher Duro consent. Oh wow, everybody is joining to the inertia of the chat. Excellent. Christopher Duro. Okay. Is there anybody that is not consenting that would like to, like, I will
I
ask.
think we need Jamin and Nolan.
Okay, Jamin. Jamin, there you are. Okay, I see you now.
Oh, there, yeah.
Okay. Jamin, are you ready to go for a consent? Consent.
Well, okay. I put consent with concern just because I have a couple of questions, but not to derail. Just I'm good. Safe enough to proceed, etc.
Okay. Thank you, Jamin. So I see your chat box now. I consent with consent. Atuli says goodbye to everyone. I will ask him. Excellent. Okay. I think Christopher, I see you. You already consented. Ray?
And just because I'm just understanding now what this group is about, vegan, and the whole proposal for vitally engaged guardians of animals and nature. The Homo Ahimsa transformation. So you guys are like creating a constitution, a basic plan outline of how to get more people involved. Is this what I understand?
Yeah. Do you know the number of the question you're referring to, so I can locate it quickly?
Actually, I've browsed through all the questions just generally.
Okay.
I think, but what is ¿cuál es el propósito de todas estas preguntas?
Correct. El propósito es generar la visión, la misión y los objetivos junto con la cultura de este grupo que es el inteligencia colectiva de todo el proyecto de Mundo Vegano 2026. Entonces, son 123 preguntas que nos van a ayudar al contestarlas a ir conociendo colectivamente cuál es la razón de ser del grupo, quiénes somos en este grupo, parte de Vegan World 2026, y cuál es nuestro trabajo y cuáles son nuestros propósitos, objetivos, aims, ¿no?
Okay.
Y también la
cultura. See, that answers my question. And I saw that you guys just had a conference in October. So I'm just starting to review all that information, but it makes perfect sense to me. And I love the Homo Ahimsa transformation. Beautiful.
Yeah, excellent. They call it here the 7 core shifts. I think that they're reviewing the name of that set of transition principles. But yeah, I agree with you, Christopher. I love them also. Okay, so yeah, I think that the only ones missing are Ray and Jackie and Mayra. I think Mayra also just joined.
Myra just joined. Oh, we got Jackie consented.
Oh, she did? Yeah. Okay, sorry, I missed it somewhere.
On the chat, yeah.
I see it now.
Both Jamin and Nolan have consent with concern. Was that a different concern than was proposed earlier, or is it the same concern that the rest of us have?
From Nolan, similar concerns.
Okay.
And how about you, David?
Yeah, I have concerns about, I mean, I just don't know how frequently this set of questions will be refreshed. Did we give enough time for everyone, since this is kind of new for everyone? I mean, if it were up to me, I'd probably give it another week, let more questions come in. Anyway, those are my concerns, but definitely safe enough to proceed, good enough to start, all that good stuff, from my perspective.
Yeah, I think those are also concerns that I share with you, Jamin. The thing is that I don't see any other way to reach out at the moment to all the people that didn't participate. So I guess if we keep updating and posting the progress of this process, some people will get engaged and jump in to participate. That is the hope right now. It is like what Anne shared is that it's very tricky to run this process remotely without seeing each other's faces or knowing who everybody is. So it's like an adaptation of the ideal of being seated in a circle, essentially.
And the other thing, just to remind everyone, once the proposal is actually presented to the VCI, we will have a time limit on the product. So depending on what the proposal actually is, it might be that we say, we want to revisit this vision, mission, aims, and culture statement in 6 months or 1 year. Probably not more than a year. And probably, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but this is not set in stone, and we will be able to come back and review it. So it's not like we're doing this and once it's done forever and it can never change. And again, this whole concept for me of being good enough for now means we're not waiting to get to perfection to get this going. It's good enough for right now, and it's safe. It's safe enough to try. And then there's most likely going to be another iteration. And we have to learn this because we all don't know this well yet. So, and we're coming into something that's partially in shape, and yet it needs more structure. And so we're trying to figure that all out. So it's a bit awkward. And I think it's going to be a bit awkward. One of the pieces of good news for me is that the population of the group is growing, even though it's awkward. And so obviously there's, a little bit of interest or intrigue or mystery or something about what we're doing, and people want to know. So we're building the path as we walk it. We're figuring it out. Is there anyone that did not get to share who's on this call that wants to say if they consent or have concerns or objections? I just want to make sure, because again, it's very hard when you can only see a few people.
Yeah, I have them on my screen right now. I think it's Ray.
I consent.
Ray consents? Okay. Thank you, Ray. Kowalchuk? Is that well pronounced? Kowalchuk?
Yeah, you actually pronounce it better than I do.
Oh, come on.
It's supposed to be pronounced Kowalchuk, but everybody says Kowalchuk, so I just go with it.
Okay. Thank you for making me feel good. I'm glad. Kowalchuk. Okay. Now, Mayra, I think. Mayra. Armas, right?
I just, this is my first time, so I have no idea what you're doing, but, I don't know. What does the questions do? What are they?
Okay, would you rather, this is a step on a process that we're doing to find out our vision, mission, and culture, and aim, of Vegan World 2026 Collective Intelligence. So this is the first step on that process, which is collecting questions that are going to be categorized and synthesized.
And once we get the objective and vision, what are we going to do with it? I mean, what is the action plan? I mean, what is the end action of this? How are we going to spread veganism throughout the world?
Well, so this particular group is the Vegan World 2026 Collective Intelligence Group, which is similar to a steering committee if we were using different language. So this is the hub group for all of the work. And eventually, and what we're trying to do right now is to articulate who we are as a group within the project of Vegan World 2026.
Oh, I see. So it's more on the conceptual level right now.
Well, it's on the, yes, and it's building a foundation that we can then do the work from. So it's hard to do work if you don't know why you're doing it. So we're trying to define what the work is And then we will be able to figure out how we're going to go about doing it. But first we need to figure out who we are in this whole process. And so this is a 4-step process that will take place over 4 weeks to figure that out.
I see. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with it. I mean, I have no opinion at this point, so I'm just listening. So.
Would you rather abstain, Maha? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I guess, because I'm not,
Okay.
I'm new to this, so
That's good.
yeah, why not?
That's perfectly acceptable. Abstaining,
Yeah.
especially when you're brand new, is perfectly acceptable.
Right, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Maha. And Mayra Armas, are you still here? I don't see you. There you are.
Hi, yes, I'm here. I just got here. I was here late. I had an unexpected yoga class. I think I have an idea of what are you guys talking about, because I read on Basecamp, and I know that we were talking about the worry about bringing up the kind of like the vision, or not the vision, but the program that you actually have, Jorge, regarding the, like, without this group to have any jerarquía. I don't know how to say it in English.
An idea?
Hierarchy.
Ah,
It's hard for me to say that word.
okay.
But I don't know if this is what you guys are talking about here, because like I said, I mean, I just logged in like 10 minutes ago, or I don't know if this is just about questions or.
Okay, you were commenting on the post that we did about the process, right? That this was the first step of the process, which was collecting questions. Remember that post?
Yes.
Okay, this is the same. So now those questions that were collected, we are seeing them and reviewing them as a whole set of questions. And after reading through them, we are each one of us is doing a vote, if you want to call it, of saying I consent to them to move forward to the synthesizing of these same 123 questions. I consent with concerns, or I object to them. So this is what we are doing right now in this round.
Okay,
So
yeah, that's fine. I consent.
you consent? Excellent. Thank you, Mayra. Okay, now I believe we are all represented, the people that are on this call at least, which we are 13 participants, 14 with Dharmendra. Kari, I think she didn't participate with consent. I think we're set. So here we see in the counter that we have 15 people in total. Jorge, Sylvie, Anne, Shankar. We have a empty lot, and Nancy. The abstains doesn't show. Dharmendra, Benjamin, Suzanne, Dr. Silas, Christopher, Ray, Jackie, Patricia, Nolan, Jamin, and Mayra. Okay, celebrate. Where's
Excellent.
Patricia?
Yeah, Jamin, where are you? We need there he is. Yay.
Dale alegría, Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para darle alegría, cosa buena. Dale a tu cuerpo alegría, Macarena. Hey, Macarena.
Ay.
Okay, that was, wow. Okay, thank you so much. And Jorge, you are not done. You are not done, because our next piece of business, the last piece of business for this meeting, is to discuss the synthesizing of the questions and to figure out who wants to assist in synthesizing, and that is a hard word to say, I apologize, who wants to assist in synthesizing the questions, and we want to have all of that done by next Monday so that we can present at Tuesday's meeting the final actual list of questions, so that we can move into answering those after next week's meeting. So Jorge, I'm going to ask you to describe, and anyone else who is familiar with this process can certainly jump in, how we go about synthesizing questions.
Okay, so
You're muted, Jorge.
oh, thank you, Benjamin. Okay, now it's working. You will see in this screen that the consented by is already cleared with all the names that participated in this process, in this meeting. And now what we're going to talk about is how to synthesize them. For that, this format also is going to be very helpful because we have a category here, right? On the left side of the question numbers. So we're going to use that to identify which one of these questions are the ones that belong to the purpose of answering the vision of VCI. So for example, what does VCI mean? Who we are in VCI? What is our work? Just by these four, I would say arbitrarily, this is not supposed to happen this way. We are going to get together, I would suggest a couple of times before next Monday in the process proposal work group.
Yeah, yep, the work
Yeah.
group. Yep, the process proposal work group. Yep.
Correct. Maybe for short meetings of half an hour, open to everybody that is on this call right now and to everybody, even if they didn't participate on this step one. So we could put on the same message board of the first step saying we are going to move to step two, and everybody is invited to these meetings that are going to run for 30, 40 minutes, maybe once on Thursday and once on Monday, so we can have time to think about how are we synthesizing the questions and moving them to the second tab of this Excel file. And here we will see it on Monday that they have been moved from the tab number 1 to the tab number 2, and they will have a priority setting. So which is going to be the top priority? Obviously, for this process of finding out our vision and mission, first priority is vision. Second priority is mission. Third priority is going to be aims. And fourth priority, culture. All the questions that were part of our concerns will not be deleted, but will not be answered in the third part of the process. In the synthesizing of them, they will be just like demoted at the moment to no longer relevant status, because we're not going to answer them. They don't belong to this process right now. Correct?
Yeah, and another way to think about that just is those questions, it's not that they're not important, they're just not relevant to this. So they might go somewhere else. So sometimes groups talk about this as putting a question in the parking lot. So they're holding on to it to come back to it later. So if you submitted a question and it gets parked, it gets moved somewhere. It's not that it's a bad question, it's just that it doesn't fit right here and it will be used in something else.
Correct. And that is it. So we can figure out in this section of this meeting, if we want to doodle the couple of meetings, very short meetings, like if we don't do any opening rounds and any closing rounds and just like go into like, okay, let's synthesize. We already had access to the file. We look through them. We already have like a criteria on how to do it. Maybe not everybody wants to participate in those meetings. The idea is like to have a couple of meetings, not only in one sit, because it's going to be very chaotic. Then we have time to reflect on it, and maybe I would suggest either this Wednesday or Thursday, and then again on Monday. Very short meetings, focused to synthesize the questions only, and to have them ready for presenting them on the VCI meeting on Tuesday of next week. I believe it's the 18th, no? It was mentioned it was the 18th on the agenda. So that would be the proposed way to move forward.
So on Thursday this week for me, and I don't need to be at the meeting, but I'm literally only open between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Thursday because of other things that I already have scheduled. Eastern time. So noon to 2 Pacific time. So we could choose something in there, or the group could choose something else. We could put a doodle out. We can put a doodle out tonight if we want to do that.
Yeah, I think the doodle would be the best democratic way to open the doodle to everybody in the message board post that we did for step 1. So people are going to say, okay, Thursday, I would like to participate, and these are my times. So maybe we can do the doodle open format so people can add their available times. I think that that's a way to engage more people. Hopefully it will work, no? To have a couple of meetings, one for Thursday, with the open option for them to add their available time slots. We're just going to say they need to be for 30 minutes. I think 30 minutes, if we focus on it, is good enough, if we're on time. But since we don't have a culture yet, maybe that's too much of a wishful thinking. Maybe doing the meetings for an hour would be more down to earth. And then Monday, in the same doodle, just put Thursday and Monday. Which are your time slots? And see how many people contribute to that. Maybe we will have a lot of people saying, what is doodle? No? That's a possibility.
What do other people think? How do we want to? I'm a little bit concerned, Jorge, that if it's like any time Thursday, put your time in. I don't know that people will actually do it.
I'm just thinking like there's 300 people. We need to engage them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like they feel like they have a say.
Right.
And us that we are more committed at the moment, we can split up and say, well, maybe instead of 2 meetings, one on Thursday and one Monday, let's have 4, whatever. But let's see how people react, because I don't know if we want to make all of this by ourselves, which is a good exercise. But I feel that we need to get out of the comfort zone and try to meet them halfway, to all the people that are not engaged yet. And this is a suggestion how to go that extra mile.
Yeah, I would love to see more people. I'm actually quite pleased with how many people contributed questions at this point, because I think it's so new and people aren't certain about it. So I think that is a really, really good start. So let's put the doodle out. Who wants to do the doodle? Who wants to put the doodle out for Thursday and Monday? All right, Jorge, put the doodle out. We will, we're asking everyone here to please commit as soon as possible to some times on Thursday and Monday. And if we get, if we get 2 times on each of those days that have a group of people, we'll do it twice on each of those days. If there's one time that looks like there's a bulk of people that can make it, then we'll do it once. So we'll be somewhat fluid depending on who shows up in the doodle to say, I want to participate in this. And I think that we ought to ask for an hour. Well, I don't know. Should we just say 30 minutes? Do you think we can really get enough done in 30 minutes?
Yeah, I think the doodle is going to be accompanied by like pre-meeting actions. Like you need to, if you want to participate in the doodle and in the meeting, you commit to reading the questions and understanding how to synthesize them. Like, no matter if you don't know how, like just think about the purpose of the questions towards getting a proposal of vision, mission, and aims and culture for VCI. It's a tough task, but people have the means to ask questions. You know, like.
Yep. Yep. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting. And hopefully there are some people who are watching this process and go, okay, I am going to jump in and try and do that. And we have a number of people who are here now. So let's get in there and put our times in and jump in on Thursday and Monday and synthesize these questions. All right. Are there any questions from anyone about, yes?
I have a question. Like what I want to ask was, is it, but we will be going one question by one question, right? Like like I might read, but I would have my perspective. But for example, question number 1, like, what do you think? Or each of us will be internally discussing and say, hey, this is what I see. This is what the person is asking, or this is what, or actually the person who asked will say, this is what I meant when I was asking. Then we'll be thinking or talking in terms of the climate healers or vegan world, vegan collective intelligence. Then establish a relevance and say, hey, this is what, but do we will be getting an answer, or how do we capture that part? Like a particular conclusion about a question, or a common conclusion about a question.
Okay. All right. So this step 2 is not about answering or capturing comments. It's just about to specifically categorize them, to move them into the step 2, which is synthesizing them. So in the tab of collect questions, we have a category, and in that category is going to help out to say, this is a vision question, this is a mission question, this is a names question, this is a culture question. If it doesn't fit any of those categories, then it will be put as, okay, this is a whole vegan world question, or this is a conflict resolution question, you know? And then in the synthesized questions, we will have again the 133 questions with the original number, and here we will establish a priority. The questions that belong to the vision category will be the essential. The questions that belong to the mission will be reasonably important. The questions related to aims is going to be not so important, and the ones in culture no longer relevant. If they don't get prioritized, that means that they will not be answered in the step number 3. In step number 3, there we're going to start collecting the responses and to get a consolidated response. That will be like very interesting work process, because that's where people are going to have a little bit more of different opinions.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay. One more question. Is it
Yes.
going to be a recurring engine? Like this is once, like what I'm trying to say is like is this like a one-time action, or this will follow every month, or how the seasonality will be?
Okay, so once we answer the questions, we will move to the 4th part, which is actually making a proposal. And that proposal is not set on stone. It is a proposal. So in the VCI meeting of, I believe it's the 8th of March, if I remember correctly, if we stay on the timeline, we will present the proposal of the vision, mission, aims, and culture of the VCI to everybody that takes part on the VCI meeting. And we will have in every step, we have a consent round. in each step. So let's say that we're finally having a proposal that everybody present consented on. Then we say, okay, we have it. Does it have an expiration date? Yeah, well, it's pretty new and not that many people participated in the beginning, but so many people join in for the following steps of synthesizing, answering, and making an actual proposal. So we feel pretty confident that this will be a vision, mission, and aims and culture to move forward in a basis of good enough for now, safe enough to try, for at least these many months. And we will have that in a logbook saying, okay, the vision, mission, aims, and culture of VCI was consented on this date with an expiration date of review in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever we consent on.
Yeah, called VCI 1.0.
Yes, 1.0.
Right, and at that expiration date, we could either decide to redo the entire process or to say, we're all satisfied. We don't need to go through this whole process again because this is working. So no, this is not something we're going to continue doing, week after week. This is 1 week on collecting questions, 1 week on combining. I mean, combining things is another way of synthesizing in the simplest thing. We just, if there might be 5 questions that are really the same issue. So we want to answer that once, not 5 different times. And then we'll have that proposal. So this is potentially a once in 5 year thing if we decide that the vision, mission, aims, and culture document is articulated well enough for people in the future. We just don't know. So we don't want to say that it's going to be there forever.
Yes, the time and needs and perspective changes, it can be changed. And if anybody joins in the middle, we can show, hey, here is your frequently asked questions.
Right.
How synthesized and everything decisions have been. So most of them, if they read, my questions are already answered. Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Okay, I raised my hand. I always
Yeah.
usually raise my hand with the settings where it has a blue hand, but I don't know who's in charge of seeing that. Most of the time, nobody looks at it. I do have a concern. I mean, I am available to be a part of these meetings every time you guys get together, but I get really lost because in base camp, since I'm still getting used to it, I get lost with questions because there's so many stuff that goes in there, and I just don't have the time to be looking at everything, and I get lost to what is the purpose, when is the meetings. So collective intelligence, every meeting, it's every Tuesday at 4, no matter what. But what I'm seeing right now is that you guys want to add 2 more days.
Oh, no. We're not adding 2 more days. That's the work group, and no one has to participate in that. It's a work group to help move this process along. So it's not the full VCI meeting. A number of people volunteered to be part of the process proposal work group. So I'm sorry that was not more clear. That's not a requirement for the full group.
Okay, and even though, I mean, I wouldn't mind volunteering also for these groups, putting it, I mean, if we had a meeting every day, as long as it was at the same time, so I can schedule my own, because I have meetings with 2 other nonprofit foundations. But as long as this is something that is very, that it doesn't changes from time or date, that is something pretty stable, I am more willing to volunteer and to make myself present into this type of meetings. And then again, I just, with base camp, it's just really hard because there's so many stuff I think my Basecamp, it has like 150 messages right now from different, I don't know if it's different groups or just one, but it's on and off questions. So it's pretty easy for I don't know if it's just me or if it happens to other people, but I just get lost because I just don't have the time to be looking at everything that everybody is posting in there.
Oh, yeah, Shankar?
Yeah, I would just like to, Mahira, the feeling is mutual. I feel the same way and I feel the same day. So there is nothing, the simple suggestion from my end, how I overcame, I'll tell you. It's a good thing because that's how people are involving, ideas are gathering and momentum is building, action is coming. From the objective angle, it's good. From the transactionary angle, yes, it is the same way. How I overcame was like, you can pick a couple of people in the base camp and you can regularly reach out to them before you go into any of those groups or questions. And that's what I did. Like initially I asked Ray, I asked Jessica, I asked Suzanne, I asked Benjamin, I asked Jorge, and I asked even Anne. So they all guided me at one point, like before even going, hey, like the calendar is the best part, or the schedule they call it. If you look at it, it helps you to plan your day or look forward to a couple of days. Then you might know, it gives you a glimpse. Or else, like for example, after the meeting, you can stay with Jamin. You can ask him. He kind of gives you the overview to like what's going on in this thing. So anytime particular thing happens, you always have the people tagged there. And I go and ask them and they have bailed me out. So I'm telling you.
Thank you. And yes, because I see Jackie every morning, she sometimes helps me to understand and what time is the meeting for this one and what time is the meeting for the other one. So she is a great help at answering questions, but it just gets confusing sometimes because I feel like, especially like today that I'm late, I'm just getting used to all this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and we have to decide what we want to and what we can. I think Shankar's idea of reaching out to people before the meetings to ask them to help bring you up to speed, and then when you get up to speed, reaching out to someone who's new and coming in might be a really, really good thing for us to do. All right, any other questions?
And I just want to offer, if Myra, you want to connect with us on anything, if you've got questions right now, if you want a little Basecamp tutorial to try and make that easier on you. And anyone here at this meeting, if you've got questions on how to interact on Basecamp, you can reach out to Suzanne and I, because we'd gladly set up a little Zoom call and share our screen to kind of walk through stuff like that.
Well, and we aren't experts, but we're hoping to learn more too, so we can all learn together.
Cool, very cool. All right, so just to summarize, Jorge is going to put out a doodle with times for this Thursday and Monday that everyone is invited to within DCI, within the sub work group that's working on this proposal, and also to the rest of Basecamp to come and help to synthesize the questions. And then that work will be presented a week from today at the VCI meeting. And we'll take a look at the synthesized questions, and then we'll have a discussion about how we're going to answer all of those questions. And I know that there are some people who are unable to make this meeting that want to participate in answering questions, and we will have a way to do that. You don't have to be at this meeting to be able to contribute your answers. We'll figure that out. Okay, I want to thank everyone again. I feel like I say this every week. This is a bit confusing, and it's a lot of new people learning a new process, and it's taking us a bit of time, and I think it's going to be time extremely well spent in the future. And I think that, yeah, I really do. Thank you, Jamin. So let's hang in there. We are making progress. Every week we make more progress and things become clearer, and we're getting there. We are absolutely getting there. So I do want to take a few minutes to do a quick checkout. And again, a checkout is just to share a word or a short phrase about what you are leaving the meeting with. And Benjamin, since you're holding your thumb up, if you and Suzanne want to start, that would be great. Oh, and you know what? I'm going to, wait, participants. If I open this, can I? Yes. Okay. So Benjamin and Suzanne, we're going to start with you, and then I'm going to go on this list. So Jamin, you will be next after that.
I just wanted to comment that Maida has her hand up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So I have, yeah, you're right. And I just put this box right over her. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Maida.
Yes, I have one last question. Are we all going to be a part of the block party for collective intelligence, or is this just something with Jamin? Yes.
The whole world is invited.
Yes, but I know that everybody is invited, but all of us here that we are like the rock of this collective intelligence, are we going to be a part of it as well? Or because I know it's already on Friday and I see Jamin right there going.
Yes, so earlier we had a whole discussion earlier in the meeting about participating on Friday. So my suggestion is that, can you hang out, because Jamin's staying after the end of this meeting to have more conversation, and the short answer is yes, we have a role to play. And the long answer is going to happen right after this meeting. Is that good with you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you. And I'm sorry, I apologize that I was here late. Maybe you guys did touch this subject before I logged in here. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thank you. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? Let me take this off so I can see people. Does anyone else have any questions before we do a checkout?
I have a quick question. Sorry to bust in, but how do we sign up to help out on that Thursday synthesizing the questions?
So there is going to be a doodle, and are you part of Basecamp, Christopher, or can you post your email?
I just sent a message over to Benjamin and Suzanne. They're going to sign me up, or they're going to send me the information. So I'll go ahead and sign up to that. And then I've reviewed all the questions just to get a good idea, but I totally understand how veganism is going to be one of those pillars to save planet Earth. So very important to help out. Thursday, I'll do it.
Fabulous. Fabulous. All right. Any other questions before we do Jorge?
I have like a proposal for Jamin, because I can stay for the after party, but I would like to be part of the Friday block party. So these are related to the questions that eventually I want to answer with everybody collectively as part of the VCI process, related to collective intelligence. These are just like 3. And I would propose having like half an hour to talk about them, like maybe me interviewing you with these 3 questions, like no surprise questions in English, and then the second half hour in Spanish. Because these are very important for me on the reason why we're forming the Vegan World 2026 Vegan Collective Intelligence Group. So I don't know if you want me to send them to you by email also, or in this chat box is enough, Jamin?
No, this is fine. This is fine via chat box. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, via chat box. And do you want me to suggest a time slot, or you tell me which time slot is best to do these 30 minutes in English, 30 minutes in Spanish?
We can talk. Oh, that's right. You can stay for the after party. Actually, why don't you send me an email just with whatever time slots you have available, etc., and then we'll just work it out offline.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you ready to start our checkout? All right. Excellent. So I was going to go to the participants, and Jamin, you are up first. And then Jorge, and we'll do Sylvia at the same time, and then Maha. So that's kind of the list, and I'll try and give people a little bit of notice as they come up. Jamin.
Well, I am left with just profound gratitude and just blown away by the quality of the people and the quality of the collective we have here. And also your leadership, Anne, is just amazing. So, and likewise, Benjamin and Suzanne with all their support. I mean, it's just wow. So I'm just left with wow and gratitude and love and hope and joy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jorge and Sylvie, are you ready? Check
Yes.
out. Yeah, the checkout is just what are you leaving with today?
I'm leaving with, I'm glad we moved on. Like it seems like it's not so easy to understand the whole process, and we came up with a lot of questions, and I'm just curious how we're going about like synthesizing them and answering them and what the whole proposal will be like. So I'm excited. I'm sorry I couldn't be very like present sometimes because I had to do something on my computer, but I tried to follow as much as I could.
We're happy that you are here.
Okay, and I live with like so many things that are ongoing. Like my mind is like completely in awe of the possibilities of what we're working on. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for seeing so many people just like holding the space.
Thank you, and we are extremely grateful as we are every week, Jorge, for the knowledge that you are bringing to us. Benjamin and Suzanne, are you ready?
I think you said Maha was next.
Oh.
The list on my computer must have changed. So I pulled the participant list up and I read it off the first time. And then when I pulled it up the second time, it had changed. So it's hard to do this online. I apologize. So Maha, if you would like to go, I think I did say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think this is all positive. I'm just not a bureaucratic person. I just want a list of actions and get to it. So I'm waiting for all this to iron out and then, you know, getting to work. That's pretty much it.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Benjamin and Suzanne.
All right. Well, I wanted to first say I'm grateful for everybody who keeps on showing up, and I'm also absolutely grateful for new faces showing up. I know this is a difficult meeting to just jump right in the middle of. Definitely bureaucratic and a lot of policy going on right now. But it's for the greater good, and we'll end up doing a lot of great work through this process. And I can already see it happening. I was really excited with the work that we got done offline this week, as well as the work that we've come up with to do this week offline. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm excited to see the new faces and the same faces. It's a nice mix of the familiarity and that we're growing. And Maha, I know, I hope we get you to the right group soon. I know, everyone's interested in like, how do we onboard people and get them plugged into the places they want to be. So thanks for joining, and same for you, Christopher, and good to see everyone.
All right, thank you. And Christopher?
Okay, hi. So yeah, this is my first meeting with you guys here in the Vegan Collective, but I'm very very much enthusiastic, and I like to take part in this because it is a very unique experience to see this kind of organically growing. And I definitely agree with Jamin on all these different aspects, from veganism to the holistic land management with Alan Savory, to the solar radiation management with Dr. Tao. So I know that giving back is one of the most important things you can do. And I'm plugged in, and I think you guys will be seeing me more often. And I'll be trying as much as possible during my 6 months of home life, because I work 6 months abroad, and then I live 6 months at home where I have a lot of free time. So I'll be providing as much energy and graphic arts and connecting people and those kinds of things, whatever is needed for this community to grow. And yeah, it is a lot to take in. There's a lot of questions to synthesize. But I think if we all go into it wholeheartedly and we're able to listen, we're able to give our information, whatever we have, and then, you know, also participate in a very respectable manner, you guys, we're going to get a lot done. So thank you for including me in this discussion. And I look forward to the next meeting and then collaborating with you guys through emails and seeing what comes of this.
Welcome. We're glad that you're here. All right, Myra. Oh, you want me to come back to you, oh, sorry about that.
Okay, here I am. Sorry. I'm gonna say it again and repeat it maybe more than once. My life is hectic. But anyways, thank you so much for the information and also for making me a part of this, allowing me to be here. I am very excited also. I don't know if I exchanged messages with Christopher. I had the pleasure of meeting with him on our last meeting. And one of the things that has me more than excited is to have this collective intelligence in Spanish, because I'm a visionary and I believe that we have that necessity of expanding more than here in the United States. So I'm looking forward to have this collective intelligence in Spanish speaking as soon as possible. And well, thank you so much. And I know that many of us will be supporting this Spanish language also when it becomes effective.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Nancy and then Patricia.
Hi. Well, I'm leaving with some regret that I wasn't actually able to be present for most of the meeting. Tay got away from me, and I had it on my calendar, and I tuned in as soon as I could, and then I was shopping to come home and feed my cats. And anyway, so time management, I guess, I need to improve on, but thank you for putting up with me. And I'm just very excited about being part of this work. It's like, to me, you know, vegan advocacy and justice and social issues and the environment, all this is, I feel like it's really, you know, this is the time for this. It's almost like why we're here, to help raise the planet up, you know. And so it's one thing to do, you know, animal advocacy, like go out and hit the streets and tell everybody what's wrong with eating animals, but we need positive movement forward. We need to be smart. We need to address, you know, issues that actually are real issues that need to be tackled like today. And so, and these are things also that a lot of people can come and, you know, appreciate whether they're vegan or not. So thank you.
Thank you. Patricia?
I had more to say than I thought. Give me a mic and I ramble on. Sorry.
Yeah, I apologize for coming in late, but I just could not get in. It was really weird, but I finally managed to get in. And so I'm glad I didn't give up. And I was really happy because I noticed that I was feeling torn about having new people here going over this process, because I thought, why, you know, now we're going to have to explain it again, and with all these new people and all this. And then that was one part of me. And then there was another part that said, you know, the more you hear this, number one, the more you understand it. So that was a nurturing thing. And the people who are joining, the new people like Christopher, who I just met earlier on the Solutions Club, and Nancy, I just met you last night. And so, you know, I'm so glad that this group is so dedicated to being open to new people, and that Jorge and Anne Benjamin and Suzanne, you guys are just like everybody, just so patient. And that hasn't been one of my strong suites in the past. So I'm glad I'm learning it and seeing the benefit of these wonderful new people. So I want this, my reflection to be a big thank you to all of you who joined. And just if you don't understand everything, just know it'll get there, and you're avoiding senility because you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Silesh.
I feel grateful to all of you, and I just want you to know that I love you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for bringing us all together.
My pleasure.
Jackie.
I am completely just moved. Like, I'm just moved at what is happening. I'm working at a social justice summit now, and it's from my experience with working with the ACLU, and it was always about policy and bureaucracy. And joining this group, there was resistance, but I knew that the system that exists, that's not for us, is what I was resisting. So I had to come in and work through that resistance. And that was a trauma, you know, fighting against school systems. But to come here and know that we're creating the new, that we're planting the seeds from our hearts, and we are literally creating new from the unknown, like Jorge says, I am just in awe, and I'm so moved. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. You shine brightly. I love you all. And my hope for my children is, my heart is just, I'm in awe. Thank you all.
Thank you. And again, I personally, and I think many of us here, are grateful that you bring a non-human to the meeting every week. And it's just really nice to see. Ray.
Everybody took my answer. I'm going last, so I figured I'd get away with that. I like how questions, how everybody is important. Every question is important. People are important. We're not just organizing this system for accomplishing our goals. We're practicing those things that we need to see in our daily lives, in our governments, in our nonviolent world. It's good to see.
Thank you. Thank you. Shankar.
Yes. Yeah, I want to give a special thanks to Anne. Almost you take the narrator's voice. Sometimes I'm like searching you because you became like a narrator, the voice from the clouds. Or okay. Yeah, thank you for keeping the ducks in the row or everything in the, especially the meeting agenda. It's awesome. And I look back at the meetings or what we discussed. I almost see things already got manifested, like how it was a thought seed. And I think I could say the vegan baby is ready to jump from the embryo and run. So I'm excited for the next phase and how the actions and everything is going to come. I'm really excited. Thank you.
Thank you. So with total transparency, I will tell you that I leave these meetings exhausted. It is much harder for me to facilitate a meeting online than it is in person. I do a lot in my previous facilitations of things. I read the room, I read the people. The energy comes through differently. And when I can only see these little pieces of people, and sometimes people have their things turned off and whatever, it takes it's like, I don't feel like I just worked 2 hours and 15 minutes. I feel like I worked like an 8-hour day without a break, right? And that's not, I think that, I keep saying it, I feel like I'm repeating myself. I think we are building something that is going to work very beautifully in the future. And I think that there will be a lot of facilitators and leaders and note takers and contributors and, you know, all of that. And I think it's like slogging through mud in the beginning. It just takes some extra effort and some extra time. And, you know, sometimes it's just, yeah, but it's good. It is really good. And so thank you. Thank you for hanging in. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for contributing. And we will do it again next week and see where we get to. And in between, we'll have a few things going on too. So I am not staying for the after party. I will do my very best to stop in to the block party this weekend or Friday, Jamin. And I don't know exactly at what times at this point, but I am going to go take a few deep breaths and do a little bit of meditation for a couple of moments. And you guys have a great after party. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.
Awesome. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Anne, so much.
Thank you, everybody.
I think that's what I see is next is to go and to detour or divert and to the vegan synergy meeting meditation.
Yep. Yep. All right. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Anne.
Have a great night,
Thank you
Anne.
so much.
Good night, everybody. Also, Jamin, I sent you the email already.
Got it. Thank you, Jorge. Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night, Jorge. Good night, Sylvie.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All righty. Well, we're continuing to record. Unless anyone wants to pause, just request a pause if you ever want to pause. Welcome to the after party. And Ray is going to sing a little song for us to ring in the after party.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it on mute, though.
Oh, 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 wow, that was beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Oh, beautiful.
You should sing more often, Ray.
We actually had a lot of singing at the, a lot of people. We had a lot of songs at the Solutions Club. I was shocked at how many songs there were.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And Patricia, just seeing you just come out and just explode with so much joy and expression of so many things. So thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you created that space for me, because that helped me. So when I came to this meeting, I could just be contained and, you know, didn't feel a need to do
All right, contain yourself, Patricia. We're still in polite company here, so.
This is the laughing yoga I heard about.
Yeah. Well, Benjamin and Suzanne, you know, Heyman and I figured out that we were separated at birth. So, Benjamin and Suzanne, how do you feel when you hear us all laughing and being silly like this? Oh, did they leave?
Oh,
We're here.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
I checked out the laugh yoga video that you left on Basecamp, and that was hysterical. I've never seen that before.
Great.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun to try it out. I mean, we're obviously all laughing now, so.
Yeah,
But it'd be fun to try out, especially in the middle of a very serious meeting.
Yeah.
That's not from the beginning scene in The Road to Wellville, where they have a laughing. They're basically laughing a song over the opening credits, and that's based on the Kellogg's Wellness Center in Battle Creek, Michigan, or whatever. Is that it? Is that the same thing, or is this something a little bit more contemporary?
I think it's a.
It was almost like a meetup
of
people who just wanted to come and laugh. Like, right?
Yeah.
I know I know what you're talking about though, Ray, and I don't think that's what this was.
Now you can become a certified laughter yoga teacher, and I'm actually going to go in Fayetteville. They're going to have a laughter certification, so I'm not going to laugh until I go to that, so I can make sure I laugh correctly. Okay. Oh, but I'm going to become a certified climate. I was going to call it climate therapist. A climate healer. I'm a certified World Peace Diet facilitator, then I'll be a laughter yoga facilitator, and then I'm developing the compassionate living circle facilitator program, which will be probably include laughter therapy in that, laughter yoga, I mean. So there's laughter, what kind of therapy? There's laughter yoga, and there's some kind of therapy. Oh, cold therapy. I want to become a cold therapy certified. That's where it's cold shower, you learn how to walk in the snow and learn how to breathe. And I think all the climate healers need to get that just in case we have a freeze. And we
I think, Patricia, there's a famous Dutch guy named Wim Hof.
Yes.
You see him all over the place right now doing that. And
yeah, that's what I learned. Yeah, he's great.
He's great. I've been doing his breathing techniques as well, and taking cold showers just to
Nice.
be able to reconnect and laugh like really heartily like you do. So yeah.
Wow. We have a lot in common. We found out he is on a off-grid community, and also has done neighbor community organizing work. So we're going to be in touch. We met at the as you all know, you guys missed that wonderful solutions club that Heman facilitated. That was so great to meet you, Christopher.
You as well, Patricia. And I got the notice for that just on my Facebook last minute, so I just had to connect and see what was going on and being talked about. But it's great just to kind of come out, like it's Friday, the 24-hour block party. Obviously, we're not going to be connected all 24 hours, but whatever we can kind of delve into and soak in, it's going to be that much better soaking this in than turning on CNN or whatever else they'll manufacture for us. But yeah, that's awesome. You make me laugh.
Yeah, Patricia doesn't know. Most of us, we have our microphones off, but while they're off, she has a very contagious laugh, and I'm just here laughing just by listening to her laugh.
Exactly. It is good laughter. It's good exercise.
Thank you.
I think you're already certified in my book. You don't have to pass any classes.
Well,
I consent that too. She's already certified to be a laughing therapist.
I add my seal to the certification.
Now, to be a Macarena instructor, you'll have to check in with Jamin on that one.
For what?
To be the Macarena instructor.
Oh, Macarena.
Yeah.
What's Macarena? Is that a dance?
Yeah, well, it's the name of the song that was very popular in Mexico in like the late 90s, I think, and like everyone would dance to it, and it just becomes like this group dance where you're dancing in the one position kind of like in a line or a grid, and then at one point when it goes, oh, everybody turns 90 degrees, and so, it just became this super popular thing in Mexico.
In the States too, especially in the Latin community, that was the new craze for like weddings and 316s, and everyone was it was the new electric slide.
Now,
yeah, Jamin, so you have the responsibility to show her how to dance, and we'll sing it along with her, watch it, or she can sing it and we'll dance it.
Yeah, let's get Patricia to be a certified Macarena dancer instructor. Sure.
Well, there is dance instruction. I'm collecting them on my YouTube, like you can on YouTube. I mean, on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist of dance instructions. So because I need to take breaks from being really sometimes serious meetings or a lot of typing, and I do some dancing. So I'll put Macarena on there on my list. And I'm also learning the moves to The Greatest Showman. I'm learning how to dance to those songs. And I need to learn those songs, because a lot of those songs could be some of our theme songs. If any of you know those songs, anyway. But I nominate you, Jamin, as the greatest showman.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Now, I want to make an observation here that for me is kind of profound. So let's start with Anne's comment that it feels like it's kind of more work because she's used to doing this in person. Obviously, the closest connection that humans can experience is in person, right? And you feel the energy and all that. This is, I would say, a not too distant second, right, is Zoom video conferencing. And I don't even know what would be third. Is there even a third horse in this race, right? What, Reddit? Posting stuff on Facebook? The bandwidth, the connection just totally drops off after Zoom. And so the fact that we're able to accomplish so much via Zoom speaks to the richness of this medium. And when Patricia starts dancing or singing, etc., what we're doing is we're bringing more richness to the medium. We're finding more I mean, like, I gesture all the time in real life, and of course I do it right here on Zoom as well. We're all able to vary the tonality of our voice, etc. So we're finding ways to express ourselves in deeper, richer ways through this medium. Every medium has its own, characteristics. I remember, like, back in the 90s, my dad, or early 2000s, my dad had read some study that the sentence structure varies from a typed letter to an email to a text message. I mean, we all know it, right? With the text, it's the most abbreviated. So we're really finding our new sort of language, new syntax, lots of things through this new medium. So that's really exciting, because this is, by default, Zoom video conferencing is the medium, the core medium of collective intelligence. And then we're basically adding other layers around this core, like recording, broadcasting, transcription, translation, indexing, search, all the connective tissue between the different conversations, right? So, but anyway, I just wanted to point out that what you're doing is actually super cool, Patricia, by just bringing your full expression and being vulnerable and just being off the hook sharing. So you're just
off the hook.
Off the hook.
Well, I have to tell you, I feel so grateful that I can be off the hook, whatever that means. Is that like off the rails, or
Yeah,
yeah.
It just means unconstrained.
Yeah, I have a need for that, and but I'm also very serious and focused, and I'm creating the community, compassionate living circles. It's like, I wish that I had the same kind of team that was asking the questions and going through this process, and that I wouldn't be doing it by myself. And yet what I'm doing is trying to almost channel all of you who are on here, every single thing that I'm learning, even this meeting, I'm channeling it all, so that and somehow I have this ability to, like, almost like a computer, just take it all in and then spit it out. And so I just feel grateful to everyone, because you're all adding to my ability to create these compassionate living circle structure and facilitator training, so that I'm hoping they can actually be kind of like they can be online, and they can be in person, healthy communities that are expressing all the things that we're doing. And I think there will be on Zoom, they will be happening where people will say, this is my little compassionate living circle that I know I can come to. I know who's going to be there. I know I'm safe. I know what to expect. We do need that, as well as the off the rails, off the hook, crazy. I mean, like the after party. This is great, but there's for new. Sometimes people need that safety and structure, because that's kind of what we just had in that last meeting. So you guys, even as you're here listening to me, the concept, I promised I would have this proposal ready by midnight tonight. So you're just helping me by letting me articulate. So I thank you.
You're welcome. I'm more than happy.
And see, this is the beautiful thing. We're all helping each other. All of us walk away with tremendous gratitude, and all of us, without exception. And so we're all just contributing and sharing. And just consider everyone who's here right now. We've all found each other because we have certain things in common and a certain vision in common. But at the same time, we all bring our own unique visions. And so this is an example of, if you now expand out whoosh, to the broader vision of planetary collective superintelligence, which consists of millions of such conversations, and people being able to change lanes from one conversation to the next. This is what's creating this, essentially giant planetary brain, right? Where each of us is sort of like a neuron, but we're connected to all these other neurons. And so for me, this is just a really beautiful example of one of these dynamic clusters. We come together for, 2, 3, 4 hours, and then we, go apart, and some of us join some meetings, other of us join other meetings. And this is how the whole of humanity gets connected together in one giant brain. Obviously, not every person is going to meet every other person on Earth in their lifetimes, but if enough of these clusters form around the matters, the topics which are super important, like veganism, like SRM, like collective intelligence itself, together collectively, we can heal our entire world, our entire species, and all species that are in need of our caretaking and in need of us stopping the harm. So this is just a really beautiful example of collective intelligence, for lack of a better word, because it's not just intelligence, it's heart-telligence, it's wisdom-telligence, it's soul, spirit, the whole gamut.
Totally. To go back to a point Patricia made actually at the last, the Solutions Club, she mentioned that at one point there would be hundreds of these types of meetings going on every hour, where collective groups of people with their type of consciousness, we're coming together because for some reason we have to meet and we have to share the information we have. But there, at this platform, once it gets going, once you start getting that collective intelligence, those ideals across, Patricia mentioned that there would be hundreds and hundreds of different meetings at the same time. And I found that fascinating. Like she's already perceived that, and that will become the case. As Myra was asking earlier about what we can do here in Mexico, and I totally agree with her as well. I like to, there's a little thing that I like to think about Mexico being, in the native language of Nahuatl, Mexico means el ombligo de la luna, which is the belly button of the moon. And the moon is much like a feminine energy. It's a feminine quality. It's something that's really direly lacking nowadays, with the whole of the earth being caught up in a very kind of a macho subconscious. So I think in Mexico, it's a very fertile ground for a movement to be born, obviously, that helps heal the world of a lot of its negativities. And I was at a meeting about 2 weeks ago. This was a live chat with several people went to a cafe, and we had a talk about feminism and machoism. And a lot of women gave their viewpoints. Some men gave their viewpoints. But just to point the fact that it's a time for women, I think, in that energy to kind of retake the reins of the world. And even as males, we have that feminine energy. It is within us. A lot of us growing up in society, we're told to not to feel emotions and just carry on and, take a cold shower or keep going and those kinds of things. And we're not able to cry or show our emotions, but we're learning how, little by little. And I think the earth needs that feminine energy. So there's some beautiful metaphors, and there's some interesting information, intelligent kind of collective information that's being given back to us all. And it gives a lot of hope. So eventually, I mean, I want to talk with Myra more and see what her ideas are on connecting and making this idea here of Zoom conferences and platforms like this to provide it out here in Mexico. But yeah, I think it's all worthwhile.
Totally. And the grand vision, of course, is to go from hundreds of such, video conference rooms focused on different topics or groups of topics or intersections between topics or whatever, from hundreds to thousands, ultimately to millions and beyond. I mean, the way I see it, this thing is going to take off exponentially, and it'll finally flatten out at, who knows, maybe 90% of humanity participating, 80%, I don't know, but some very significant number, right? Maybe it's only 50%. But even if we're only 1%, that's almost, 80 million people participating. And if we had an average of 8 people per conversation, that'd be 10 million conversations spanning all kinds of topics, allowing people to really find their niche, their micro tribe, not just one, but dozens of them. I mean, I'm interested in lots of different things. And, it's, you meet people in life and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I met you. We have this and this and this in common. Well, imagine your pool is now the whole world, or the 80 million people who are, for lack of better words, the most dialed in and who the most get it, right? Those are the people I want to most talk with anyway, right? For all this revolutionary stuff that we're doing. So it really cracks open the vegan oyster of the world and lets us, find where we can I'm just kind of thinking of them as these dynamic combinations of people. Look, obviously we don't all live on the same commune or anything like that, although Patricia would want us to over at her place. But anyway, until then, and maybe we'll get there. But until then, we're all in different places, but we come together dynamically without having to even leave our homes. Just click. Whew, what a privilege, right? So, this is the heart of planetary collective intelligence. This is how we're going to do it, where the it is coming together as one species and forming, I like to think in terms of an ant colony. A bunch of individual ants, each trying to make it, none of them making it, but we all come together as one giant kind of super organism, all right? So.
And I want to add that from our conversations we've had, it's become clear that the platform itself will evolve to then create a new level of connection over this distance that we've never experienced before. Where we're interacting on this level right now where we can see the small window. We don't really know what the body language is, but through, and I'm not sure how exactly it all works, but through this collective intelligence, we developed the next platform that does allow you to read body language, to kind of get a feel for the room, to get maybe even smells or other senses involved. And it's going to be something we can't even imagine. I'm so excited for what technology could offer us in terms of connecting us on these large distances, especially with the progress that we've made in just a few months with this group. It's been amazing what we've been able to do just with Zoom. And I'm just imagining that it's only going to get even better with whatever evolves out of Zoom.
Totally. And with that beautiful summary, Benjamin, I'm inspired to do a quick little screen share. This will take literally about 1 minute. But so just think right now, what is the platform? The platform right now is something we're cobbling together manually. We're using Zoom and email and Basecamp and Facebook and, YouTube, and we're just kind of cobbling it all together. And that's okay. So that's kind of our first platform. What I'm about to show you, you'll see a platform represented as a flat rectangle. So that's kind of all those things, including our manually plugging stuff together, writing emails, posting stuff on Basecamp or whatever. That's, for those of you who are old enough, that's the sneaker net, right, that they talked about in the 90s when not all the connections were made and people would run around with their sneakers, filling in the gaps. So what we have right now is a sneaker net platform, but as Benjamin expressed, I'm going to screen share so you get the visual here. Okay. So the evolution of radical collective intelligence. That little blue box, that is the platform I'm talking about. Platform for radical collective intelligence, this mashup of technologies. And upon that platform, an actual collective intelligence starts to grow. That's the magic of what we're experiencing here, and the power, our ability to come together, ask questions, consolidate those questions, answer them. This is collective intelligence in action. And as more people join, and as we hang out more, our collective intelligence grows and grows and grows. And it never stops growing, but at some point, it is actually constrained by the platform itself because of the features and, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, gee, wouldn't it be better if we had a better platform? Well, at this point, this actual collective intelligence has grown enough that it can be used to design and build the next version of the platform, which will be able to support a much larger actual collective intelligence, which can then do all kinds of really cool stuff. Get to work on spreading veganism, and it push the ball down the road for SRM and many other cool things, and, drum roll, design and build the next generation of the platform, which can support even more collective intelligence. And with humanity as a tool using species, this unleashes humanity's ability to innovate and to co-create. And there's no reason why this exponential should stop. If anything, it'll accelerate. Even with a fixed number of people participating with better features, it's not too far down the road that we'll be able to put on whatever kind of helmet and haptic gloves and have this augmented reality where we can hug each other and high five and, build stuff in 3D together. It's kind of endless. So anyway, I just wanted to add some visuals to what Benjamin was talking about. And this Friday's 24-hour block party is going to be another opportunity to expand the platform by giving us more room, more time. Because often what happens is we'll have these amazing meetings, they go for 2 or 3 hours, and at the end of it, people are just like, wow, really inspired. Gee, I wish these other friends were here. Well, hey, this party is not going to stop for another 21 hours, so bring them, right? So it creates an opportunity for more people to come and experience it. And also in a casual context. You know how like we have our formal meeting and we're sticking to the agenda and we're being disciplined. And then we have the after party, right? Because in a party context, there's a lot less constraints. Fine, we might not get stuff done in such an organized way, but just by sharing and connecting, we're also getting stuff done, but it's a different kind of stuff, right? It's sharing of insights, of visions, creating a common dream, just connecting. Connecting, sharing, and co-creating. A future in which we all get to live. How cool is that?
That's awesome. I think these tools are just great platforms, as you mentioned, to exercise what our wills are, what our hearts have in them, you know. And I think part of our being here on this Earth School is to reach a certain polarity, you know, whether it be on the right or left, or have love, or what may come. But this is just one of those great tools that allows us to unite and to come together and to get energy from others. Also motivate ourselves to know that what we can do together is greater than, you know, the sum of all the parts is greater than what we can just do individually. So all that lends to great benefits to what you're doing here, Jamin, and these programs and these cobbling together everything through YouTube and Facebook. But yeah, there's no stopping. It's like a freight train. It's like a runaway freight train.
Totally. A runaway. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Are you going to record the conversation that you're going to have with Silesh and Alan? Awesome. Because I really want to see that conversation.
Oh my, I can't wait. I can't wait. And I know both men quite, pretty well. I once interviewed Alan Savory for like close to 2 hours, and then went to a 2-day conference that he gave. I mean, I was just fascinated, could this really be true? Oh, wow, and and both of them are just have a really open heart to this kind of open conversation. Fortunately, they both trust me enough to put this together and moderate it in such a way that it's a really just open, loving, compassionate, sharing exploration. Because I framed it by saying, listen, I've interacted with both these groups, both the Alan Savory holistic land management folks and the vegans, and both are passionately committed to saving life on Earth. So why don't we just start with that common ground? Hey, we love this place. We love life, right? And just see where we go. And both of those gentlemen are just so mature and have just been through so much life and trial and error and this and that. And I'm just super psyched to see what comes of it, right? Because there's gotta be a right answer, even if that right answer is a composite or a mashup or something none of us expected, right? And Silesh and this community, different from, perhaps other vegan communities that I don't know, but I do know this one is just incredibly compassionate and open and just welcoming. And so I'm just super excited. And then, so that'll just be the three of us. I thought about actually trying to schedule that conversation during the block party itself, but the problem there is, you might have 100 people, some of whom might just be so angry at Alan Savory that they just say, and it is just, and it would destroy the space for a really safe, open, vulnerable sharing. So we're going to have that safe, open, vulnerable sharing, just the three of us, record it, broadcast it, etc., So then when we do go to have the block party, we can build off that, reference it, say, hey, that was a great, meeting with Alan Savory and Silas Rao and this and this and this, and these points came up and agreement was reached on these points and agreement to disagree was reached on these other points. Okay, fair enough. It's all respectful. Where do we go from here? And then open it up to the whole collective intelligence of whoever wants to come, all right? And then from, again, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, we're going to have the whole SRM conversation. And that's going to be powerful. And for me, what all this is building towards is a holistic view of, okay, big picture. What do we need to do to save life on Earth? What's the whole of it? Where do we need to start? What do we need to accomplish first, second, third? What are the milestones? What's the time frame? It's like, it's like we're on the Titanic, and let's face it, it's not a good situation, right? In the Titanic, stuff happened in a matter of minutes, right? Here, stuff is happening in a matter of years. But the consequences are just as deadly. So, it's kind of a slow motion sinking of the Titanic. So, the gift of that is that we have the time to reflect and come together and build this collective intelligence, build the platform, build the culture, try it out, test it out, figure out different things. Within Vegan World 2026 collective intelligence, sociocracy and all these cool tools and stuff is coming together, and there's kind of this beautiful built-in harmony because vegans in Vegan World 2026 get along, right? There's just so much love and compassion in the community that we tend to find harmony and peace and efficiency. And so again, we have the time, but we've got to use the time. And so, I just see all of us beautiful, dedicated people investing the time and putting other parts of life on hold, right? This is basically all I do is, I wake up in the morning with three things on my mind: veganism, collective intelligence, and SRM. And how do we put these pieces together, right, into a whole? And there's other pieces too, lots of other pieces. We need a deep, radical, as Pope Francis says, we need a bold cultural revolution, right? So we need to transform culture and our very story of humanity. Who are we? Why are we here? How did we get here? Where are we going? And so Friday afternoon at the block party, one of my Radish colleagues, Michael Gaio, is going to give a talk on Mythos. Mythos is his organization, writing a new story for humanity. So anyway, I'm committing, and Radish is committing to every Friday, 24-hour block party. The first one, I'm not going to sleep. I'm just going to be up all 24 hours. But, over time, as more and more people step up and participate and lead, we'll really get a beautiful, robust 24 hours. And then what I want is to get humanity in the habit of thinking collective intelligence on Friday. Friday, everyone's feeling good. It's beginning of the weekend, party time. Woof. Hey, let's go to the block party. Mix it up. I hear cool stuff is happening with these collective intelligence folks, right?
Just to get to, the juices flowing, to tell the story of watching Al Gore's 24 Hours of Reality. Has anybody watched that? Has anybody watched the whole 24 hours? I have, and my wife did about 18 hours one year. But one year we had a party at my house, and about 8 people showed up, and we watched for about 5 5 or 6 hours, and then some people went home. And there was whittled down to 3 people by the morning. And we were, constantly tweeting, trying to get vegan mentioned on the show. And the kid that was operating the social media, we knew was vegan. He's a Disney kid who obviously they decided to get a young familiar face to try to get all the kids involved in this thing. So we were tweeting him like mad, and we were eating different kinds of vegan food according to the time zone that we were in. So I remember at 4 o'clock in the morning trying to make teff pancakes for Ethiopia or something like that. And I used teff instead of teff flour, so it turned out horribly. So, and I have a picture. I managed to stay up for the whole 24 hours. I had to go drive I watched the whole broadcast except that for the section where I had to drive my son to school in the morning. And I came back and the other 2 members of the party had fallen asleep. So I took a picture of them and tweeted it, and it got on the program. So fun with 24 hours, rocking around the clock.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was part of my inspiration for it, but we're going to do it every week, not once a year, once a week. And of course, and then, the bigger vision is once we get those 24 hours really consolidated, for lack of a better word, we've got a whole nice schedule and support and volunteers, and it's really thriving. Then we're going to expand the window. So then the 24 hours preceding the block party from 6 a.m. Thursday morning to 6 a.m. Friday morning will be the tailgate party for the block party, right? Where we kind of ramp up. And then we'll later expand it so that after the block party, there will be a 24-hour after party from 6 a.m. Saturday morning to 6 a.m. Sunday. So we'll get to a point where it'll be 72 hours straight. Ray, you and your guests are going to have to stay up for 72 hours straight. No, I'm just kidding. But,
I haven't done that much yet.
But
projects I've cracked 30 hours before, but meet deadlines.
All right. Well, this will be a stretch goal for you. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but there's going to be a progression here till we get to 24/7 collective intelligence. Right? I mean, that's where we're going with this. I got to take this super quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll be traveling, so I can join during my transit or during the. It's fun. Thank you, everybody, for the company. Yes.
Hold your phone to the window so we can see the scenery as it goes by.
Yeah.
It's a late night, so night travel. Because it goes until 6 a.m. right? So that means Eastern time zone. It is 9 a.m. something. So probably I would have reached my destination before that, but I can give company in the midnight from New York, Manhattan. I can show you all the lights. Yeah, Jamin, I was saying I will be traveling on the day, so the night travel, but I'll be in Manhattan, so I can show you all the lights. Yay.
Woo! Awesome.
We have to get going, and we see Jackie has to go too. So goodbye, Jackie.
Great
Goodbye,
meeting.
everyone.
Christopher will be in touch with you in terms of base camp.
Yeah.
And any questions you've got,
Okay. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jackie.
Bye, Jackie.
Take care, everyone.
So, Jamin, are you with Collective Intelligence Block Party? Are you ready in case you get any? I mean, we know that there's a lot of conscious people and people with a high spiritual state of mind But there is also people that are a little bit rude. Are you ready to receive those kind of people inside the block party? I mean, people that just might be just saying stuff out of the blue. Are we ready to block them, or how do we just being prepared? On a side note, like, how do we deal with them?
Yeah. So, one thing I have not done in over 2.5 years of doing weekly video conferences like these, one thing I have not yet done is actually put in writing, policies and rules and all that. That might be very helpful. So that's one thing I want to get done before Friday. And, the rules will be, depending on how many people we have. If we have like 100 people and people want to talk, we might limit comments to 1 minute each, just so that we can give everyone a chance to talk. Or if it's a smaller number of people, maybe 2 minutes each, something like that. And I've gotten into the habit of doing that on the Solution Club, where sometimes people can be a bit loquacious, and so, but there, because we haven't had huge numbers of people, I've put like 5 minutes as sort of even a soft ceiling. So time I can definitely manage. If anyone is rude, depending on how rude, if they cross a certain line, it'll be kind of like soccer. There'll be yellow card, but then there's a red card where you get kicked off the field. So only once have I actually had to expel someone from a meeting. It was just kind of a weird extreme case, and, I just booted him out, and that was the end of that. So I have no problem booting out people who are sufficiently rude. Now, if someone is just like interrupting, I'll give them a warning and say, hey, please don't interrupt. And, but if someone just wants to create conflict and hurt others, no, they'll be immediately out of there. No problem. So, yeah. Does that answer your question, Maida?
Yes, it does. Another quick question. Who is going to be in charge of this whole Zoom platform?
Well, I'll be the moderator for the meeting. Nolan will be helping me with technical stuff, right? Making sure that we're broadcasting and all that good stuff.
Okay, good. Once again, I was supposed to be registered to start an intensive course Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I still haven't received an email. If they don't answer, I can definitely commit myself to do the Spanish one. If I do have to attend to that course, then I'll be going on and off the English block party.
Okay, got it. No, I appreciate very much that thought and that intention, Maida. For me, it's still kind of an open question. Do we want to have 2 separate meetings for the first one, right? Maybe for the first one, it's like, hey, no matter what your language, just join us, right? And if we have to translate certain things, from English to Spanish from time to time, maybe we do that. Maybe in the chat window we translate. I don't know. We'll get creative, and we're not aiming for perfection on this one. This is just a first step of humanity coming together outside of any institution, outside of any government, any private company, any university, any institution that would otherwise moderate what we're doing. This is humanity. So theoretically, this is just totally open. Anyone with access to the internet who finds the link can click on it. This might be the first time in history that something like this is actually happening for such an important topic. Humanity coming together to meet and connect with humanity with basically no constraints, face to face, talking about what are we going to do to save our ship? What are we going to do to save Mother Earth? What are we going to do to save life on Earth? Our own lives and the lives of all other creatures and life forms.
Well, I'm excited for that. And I know, as a matter of fact, there is a lot of people interested in this because they're just curious. They're just curious to see what we're going to talk about, or they just have a bunch of questions. And it's probably questions that I'm even unaware of, that I want to get answers also. So I'm excited. I feel like it is going to be a good start.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not nervous about how it's going to go or anything like that, but part of the nervousness for me is, you know, I've been in this process of letting go of the illusion that I lived under for most of my life, that A, everything is okay, and B, we're in, you know, good hands. The good hands being someone else's good hands, right? And there was a sign that I've mentioned before that Melissa and I saw of a photograph in Costa Rica of a surfboard, and it had painted on it, "The greatest threat to life on Earth is the belief that someone else will fix it." And I think a lot of humanity believes that someone else will fix it. Oh, of course the governments will fix it. They always fix everything, so they'll fix it. All I need to do is do my part, which is to hoard. If I hoard enough for myself, then I'll be okay, right? So we're asking humanity, and this will be a gradual process, and that's why it is a party, right? You go to a party, you're open-minded, your heart is open, you're having fun, and when you walk away from that party, you walk away changed. Wow, I'm starting to see things in a whole new light, experience life in a new way, experience humanity in a new way, experience myself in a new way, that I have power that I didn't know that I had, right? So
David, it's much like the hero's journey. I forget the philosopher who talks about it, but we're stuck in these woods, and we're stuck in a bubble, and we don't know outside exactly the reality of things. And once we start asking those really important questions, once we start making the commitment and making the responsibility our own to take our own lives into this, you know, endeavor, just the fact that you're having this block party, just there, you're opening that fabric into the new reality. And whatever comes of it, even if we don't have all the solutions in the first 6 months or a year, just the simple fact that you're doing that is actually going to be a huge benefit to humanity, and that these people are coming together and have a place to talk and have a place to share their ideas. I went and volunteered, this was back about 6-7 years ago, when I had like an early midlife crisis. And I went to a Buddhist sanctuary north of San Francisco. And I had been working all types of jobs in finance and customer service and insurance agent, all those things that the rat race keeps you going, right? And at one point I put it all away and I said, no, I can't do this. This is just being a cog in the system. So I threw it all away, and then I searched for other options. And I went to this place for about 9 months and discovered a lot of different, how can I put it, just different viewpoints, different ways of seeing the world. And you have to risk a lot to adapt and to change. And when you make those risks and you change what everyone tells you how to live life and what you should be doing, suddenly new doors and new opportunities open up. This group is one of those opportunities. I had a couple opportunities in the past to join types of groups like this, and never went in fully. But all that to say is just that we are the searchers, we are the seekers of the truth. And if we don't ask those questions, if we don't begin to do what, for example, what you're doing, bringing together scientists, bringing together people who think the world's going to shit in a few years, and those who say, well, I have a solution, and little by little creating this amazing synergy, then really nothing's going to happen. But the simple fact that you're doing it is a huge benefit. I know this organization I used to go and volunteer with for 9 months, the Buddhists. They have a yearly festival, and this happens in India. The city is forget, it's where the Buddha had his nirvana under the Bodhi tree, and every year they come together there, and the main Lama funds it and brings all these books with Buddhist teachings and all the different philosophy, and just hands it out to all these different monks. And these monks literally spend 30 days praying for world peace. And we know in the meditation and the things that they do, we know that that has a serious effect on the world. Just the fact that they're going out there and doing that. So I think the simple fact that you're doing this on Friday and that we're all going to get together and our attention, our energy is going to be put towards this instead of something else, that there is a benefit to humanity just to get started. So yeah, just for that.
Yeah, totally. You know, for me, it's going to be kind of like in the late 60s when, you know, humanity put a rocket out there in space and we got this beautiful photograph of the world for the first time. We got to look at ourselves in a way that we had never seen ourselves before. This is the world looking at herself in a mirror, right, through a camera lens. Likewise, this Friday, Valentine's Day, humanity will get to look at herself as we've never seen her before. Just coming together face to face. The metaphors abound. You could think of it as an intervention, right? Someone's an alcoholic, all their family and friends organize a meeting and they get together, and that person gets to see themselves through a new lens for the first time. This is sort of like an intervention, but all of us are the target of the intervention, not just the alcoholic father, but all of us are the target of the intervention. And we all get to look at ourselves and talk with ourselves. And each of us gets to speak our piece, right? And we're also broadcasting and recording, so there'll people who will be able to look on, right? And, you know, and then say to themselves, well, shoot, maybe next week I'll jump in, right?
When Christopher was saying about this, what he was talking about, it made me remembered of that song that it's, I don't know if it's called We Are the World, We Are the Children. And I don't know if you remember that song. It's such a beautiful song, how we all come together and for the same purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was in the 80s, mid 80s, 84, I think.
It's a great goal for humanity to pierce through the divisions, you know, whether they be social divisions, whatever class you belong to, or racial divisions, religious divisions. It's a very higher consciousness that we try to get to, and little by little, we can perceive that truth. You know, a lot of people, there's shamans and indigenous tribes that they certainly take medicines, and they're able to talk with spirits or have experiences and see another reality than the one that we're living here and touching on computers and things like that. There's also people who are great examples, like, you know, the story of Jesus Christ or the Buddha or Muhammad for the Muslims. And you read these stories and you understand that regardless of what form the human race takes, there's these ideals and these higher conscious, or these higher, I don't know how to explain it. It's like these truths that we all strive for. Some people are more lost and aren't able to connect with that. But some of us are very much touched by those examples and look for the connection with our brothers and sisters and the people that we meet on a daily life, and try to do good. And through that service to others, we feel more connection. It's like we're satiated. We know that we're doing good. There's those who take it to the other extreme and do service to self and do everything for themselves and try to get ahead using others. And they're it's a duality. They can live that experience where we choose to live our experience. It's a very it's a very broad aspect of reality. And I'm delving into some points of spirituality, which I studied, but I'm still trying to understand every day. But it's a beautiful thing to commit to helping Mother Earth, to helping those people who you feel are part of your tribe and have the same ideals, want to use their energy. And I know we all have hectic lives. Our egos take different forms, and we have families and children and people that take some time of our lives. But Mother Earth is the place where we live, the most important part of our being, our air that we breathe, the water we drink. If we don't commit to that, then we're literally committing suicide, I think. So it's nice to come together and just be a part of this. I never thought I would be in this conversation 2-3 months ago, and the fact that Jamin has these Zoom talks, and that I'm able to talk with you, Myra, or Ray, who's part of the Climate Healers, and everyone else who's involved in these organizations, or listen to a Harvard scientist, Dr. Tao, and explain his viewpoints. It's just magnificent. There's no words for it to know that I have access to this information, that I'm able to draw upon different people's experiences, enrich my life, and share these stories that we're talking about here with my local community, give hope to those I meet and sometimes aren't in a good frame of mind and don't have hope for the future, aren't having children because they're afraid of climate change. Those kinds of things and situations where we have to let go of all that fear and put as much energy and as much effort, as much force as we can into these types of projects, because if we don't, then we'll regret it one day. We'll definitely look back and be like, man, I could have done something a little different, or I could have tried harder, I could have, but yeah, this is the opportunity to do it now. And we all have at least 16 hours of being awake, and we can do a little bit more. We can try. So it's a very motivational space to be in.
It really is. About 2 months ago, I was having a conversation with my teenager because he's already graduating from high school, so he's getting ready to start college. And we were just having a speech about what's next. What does he wants to go to school for? And he told me, why would it even matter? I'm like, what do you mean? You need to have education. He's like, well, I mean, we're probably still going to die. I mean, look at all the stuff that is happening. Look at all the oceans, how contaminated they are. Look at how this Fahrenheit digits keep on going up, and most likely this planet is not going to be livable in the next few years. So why would it even matter for me to get a career? And that touched me. That really hit me. And I think even though I grew up in an organization where it was beautiful. I mean, they teach us to have all kinds of different disciplines and to have a good emotional state of mind, very spiritual, good mental state of mind, and giving love and service to others. And even though I have transmitted to my kids that type of lifestyle, and with my son telling me that, it was like, oh my gosh, what is my responsibility of telling him that everything is going to be fine when I know that as of now, it's not okay. It's a very small amount of people that are consciousness regarding this climate change concern. because we are still very attached to our egos. We are very materialistic still, and this is what made me get committed to this climate healers and collective intelligence and parenting and nonviolence and all this stuff that Sailesh is doing and that Jamin is doing, because I told my son, you know what? We are going to heal Mother Earth. Mom is going to be a part of that. And I commit to you guys as a mother that we are going to have a vegan world by 2026. And that is one of my biggest goals. I'm not fanatized over that, because that is the biggest error that humankind can fall over, fanatizing over something, because at the end you end up getting hurt. But it's definitely a goal. It's definitely a goal, and you do it for your loved ones. You do it for yourself, you do it for your loved ones, you do it for your children, and for the other generations behind our children, because sooner or later I'm going to be a grandmother. So we definitely, someone one day asked me, what is the true meaning of spirituality? We were debating between religion and spirituality, because I was doing a lot of love and service work for different religions, and I did not grow up religious at all. And I answered to this person, well, the biggest responsibility of us being true spiritual persons is taking full actions of who we are, our words, our actions, everything that we do, taking full responsibility of not blaming no one, because there's no such blame. The responsibility falls into ourselves. And so yeah, the responsibility is within ourselves. So within this whole movement with the Vegan World 2026, my responsibility is to be a part of it. My responsibility is to, as a yoga instructor, to teach my yoga students how to have a healthier life. Let them know that you don't need meat. Let them know that your body is not meant to consume meat. It's not meant to consume dairy. And as the days pass and we keep on practicing yoga, and they start to notice more flexibility in their bodies, and they start to see more changes within their mind, body, and spirit, they start getting connected to that essence. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful too. I think that's also my responsibility, that I change a lot of lives being as a yoga instructor, because that is my goal. When I have a yoga student, I try to go into touching their essence and making them realize who they really are and what is their biggest responsibility also as human beings.
That's awesome, and that's beautiful. I mean, you're blessed and you are loved, and you're showing that love to your children and to students, to everyone who you come in contact with. And it's, everybody's at a different stage, you know, of evolution and experience. Like you sound like you're totally in this stage of acceptance and hope, but there's like 7 stages of grief, from shock and denial to pain and guilt to anger, bargaining, and depression. And everybody's in a different stage. You know, when I was younger, I was also in that shock and denial, just keep being part of the system. Things are going to figure themselves out. It'll work out. Then I became heavily depressed for many years, didn't know what to do with my energy. I knew something was wrong. The world is going to chaos, but what can you do about it? And then you eventually start reconstructing your world to your ideals and looking for avenues. And when you do that, it's funny how the universe works, but the energies in the universe provide you an outlet, provide you open doors for you to exercise your will and what's truly in your heart. And I definitely believe that, because I've experienced it. I know lots of people who've experienced it. You know, some people do have to suffer for meaningless things. And I don't understand why we have wars and why we have violence. And The only reasoning I have for it is the karma, you know, and what I've learned from Buddhism. Because if not, it's just such injustice, and it's difficult for me to deal with that, you know. And I become very sensitive to the world, and I want to shut off, but I can't allow it anymore. You have to become like a warrior for the good, for the light. And yeah, we just have to accept that we're grieving for Mother Earth. We're grieving for all these things that are put in our path. But now I take a look at it, and it's like for me, it's almost like a proving ground. It's like we're meant to be here. We're always meant to be here and experience this, because this is where we decided to come and fine tune our abilities and our polarities, and truly become exercisers of our love and our hearts and our will. So that's why we're experiencing what we're experiencing. So it's no more confusion, no more fear, just acceptance, hope, working hard towards a better future. And like what you say is just very motivational. And we have that energy. We have to keep propagating it for everyone. Y es maravilloso, es bien bonito todo eso. Me da mucha felicidad.
It really is. And how many lives did it take us for us to come back to this earth and to realize what is the path? I mean, because we all have been here for many times, many times. So how many lives did it took us for us to be here and to be all together here in that same unification and diversity? Because there is diversity. You have your own world, you have lived your own life experience, but we are united here, and that's beautiful. So it's a unification in diversity what counts the most, and respecting everybody's opinions and accepting it, because everybody has their own path. And one tip that I do want to share with you guys, it helps me a lot, and this is something that I always show my yoga students also, is that and it even says in the Bible. I mean, I'm not a Bible freak, but I have read several books within the Bible, but it says in order for us to gain the kingdom of heaven, we have to learn how to be like children. We have to observe how children are. And when I'm doing my yoga practice, I always tell my students, breathe, breathe through your nose. Sometimes when we're washing dishes, and when we are exercising, or when we are working, we find ourselves having that leg movement, like that, en español le llamamos el tic, un tic en el pie, like siempre moviéndolo. Or we find ourselves opening our mouths while we're washing dishes. And when we come aware that we are doing this and we have stopped breathing through the nose, we realize that our thoughts are somewhere else wandering around, either in the past or in the future. And one of the biggest challenges that we have as human beings is to be in the present and to enjoy the present. And for me, it took me a long time to realize that breathing through my nose, and realizing that when we are born, the first thing that we do is that we breathe through the nose. Babies do not know how to breathe through their mouths. And babies, there's no present, there's no past, there's no future for them. They live in the present. So looking at babies, looking at kids, they show us what is that true meaning of entering the kingdom of heaven, because the kingdom of heaven is in here. It's not up in the sky. There's no such heaven, there's no such hell. It's all here. Hell and heaven, it's here. We decide where we want to be. And the kingdom of heaven is in our hearts. So always breathe through the nose and come back. The future does not exist. It's uncertain. The past is already the past. The only thing that we have is the present. And that's why it's called a present, because it's a present from life to live and enjoy and love the present.
So always breathe through the nose and make yourself aware that you're breathing through the nose.
You guys, that is so beautiful, Myra. Unfortunately, I have to go. I'd love to stick around, but you guys carry on. Evan, would you do me a favor and just send me a text confirming that the video conference is ongoing even after I leave? Just send me a quick text. Just say, Jamin, it's all good.
Amen. As a matter of fact, I have to go too. I need to go eat dinner. I came back from yoga and then I started cooking for my kids and now I have to eat and then I got to go to the gym and I have another meeting. This is my life. But I'm always breathing through the nose.
Good. Good. That was going to be my last question. All right. Thanks so much. Love you
You guys
all.
have a good night.
Okay.
You too. And carry on. Carry on. Nobody has to go anywhere, but I do have to get going. All right. Love you all.
All right.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.